Hey guys, welcome back and welcome to the Flower Fairy Hair Salon. In this tutorial, I'll be showing you how to style your doll's hair. If you are new to making flower fairies, welcome. If you have purchased one of my kits, this video will break down the steps for how to style the hair. And if you are a seasoned fairy maker that has your own supplies, I hope you get more tips and tricks from this tutorial. If you would like to purchase a fairy kit, this is something that's brand new. I launched this a couple weeks ago. It's everything you need to make a flower fairy. And this is step 5 of a 6-part series that breaks down each step in flower fairy making. So I hope you find this helpful. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, please do. Let's get started. So you can see I've given my fairy some shoes. I will put a link for that tutorial below. In step 1, we formed the body. Step 2 was wrapping the body with floss for the skin. Step 3 was wrapping the embroidery floss for the clothing. Step 4 was the skirt, and step 5 is the hair. So all you really need is a glue gun, and I like using a glue gun with a dual temperature, and I set it on low because it's easier to work with the glue. So the first thing we're going to do is turn our fairy so we're working at the back, and I'm going to take 2 fingers and run my fingers along that embroidery floss, really smoothing it out. You want to get out any bumps, any pieces that are kind of laying the wrong way. And here's a fair warning, I am going to say smooth the floss a lot in this tutorial. If there are any little scraggly pieces, grab your scissors and cut that off. And then once again, keep smoothing that floss. Then you're going to take the bead and you're going to push it down. We are going to add a small dab of glue right at the top of her head where the floss meets the wire. And then you're going to push that bead up as tight as you possibly can and hold it in place until that glue sets. And once it's kind of dried, I'll kind of wipe off the excess on the back so I don't have a bump of glue, and just hold it in place until it dries. And then you guessed it, we're smoothing the floss again. Now we're going to flip her to the front, and there's 2 different things you can do at this point. So in the beginning, I used to part her hair right where the wire was. Since then, I've been doing things a little bit differently. I like doing a little bit of a side part to cover up that floss. So I'll pick which side the floss decides it wants to lay to easier. Sometimes it's the left, sometimes it's the right, depending on the glue. And I'll kind of just move the floss to the side and then turn her. And so I'm working at the back of the doll and smooth out that floss again. And you'll see it just kind of naturally falls down to one side or the other. And then I'm going to flip her. So we're working at the back of the doll now. I'm going to continue smoothing that floss. Going to take my glue gun and I'm going to add a line of glue right on the back of her head, right in the middle. And then I'm going to grab the floss and I'm going to loop it up and around. So it's a big loop. We're making a big circle with the floss. And I hold my finger there until that glue sets. Once again, this is why we use a low temperature glue gun, because the glue does not get as hot. So you can see that thread just loops up and around. And then I use the tip of my glue gun to smooth down any glue. You see I have a little piece poking up here. I'm going to put that back in place very carefully and add a tiny dab of glue just to hold the rest of that floss down. You want to make sure all of that floss is secured to the back of the bead. And then I'm going to smooth down the thread, turn her to the front, find my part again. And this is what we have so far. So you can see I'm really just gently pulling on that thread to have it lay flat. And I use both of my fingers to gently pull it and make it really smooth. Okay, so at this point it looks great, but we're going to secure it some more. So I keep smoothing it down. And then I'm going to grab my glue gun and we're going to add a tiny dab of glue on each side of her head to hold that thread down. So I smooth it, I gently pull it up, add the tiniest dab of glue, and then I gently press the thread back down. You don't want to smash it against her head, you want it to lightly lay against that glue. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. And then just gently pressing that thread down into the glue to hold it in place. I really slowed this part down because I wanted you to see just how much time I spend smoothing down that thread so it lays nicely against the bead. And that's it, guys. We're all set. Now, an easy hairstyle you can add to this is to put it in a ponytail. Using any of the extra floss you get in your kit, or if you're making your own fairy with your own supplies, you could use some floss that matches her dress. Another good tip is if you want to cover up that wire completely, you don't want to see it at all, you can grab a marker and just cover it up with the pen. Be careful that you don't also get it on her head, which is what I do a tiny bit here, but don't worry, we covered it with the floss. I just smoothed some of her hair over that little dot. But that will help hide that wire. And that's it, guys. You're all set. My biggest tips for this part are to work slowly and make sure that thread is really smooth. If you have made fairies before, I would love to know what hairstyles are your favorite. I have a big fairy playlist for different hairstyles. I will link below. In the 6th and final video in this series, I will be showing you some different ways to add glitter to your flower fairy. If there are other questions, comments you have, please post those below. If you haven't subscribed, please do. If you liked this, give it a thumbs up. And if you would like to purchase a fairy kit, I will have a link for my Etsy shop below. And if you're one of my faithful fairy makers that has all of their own supplies, I hope you found this helpful. Thank you so much for all of your support, and we will see you in the next video.